You know, no. All right, we are going to call this regular scheduled meeting of July 20th in order. If you all join in the salute to our flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and now we have introduction of commissioners and staff, please. Mr. Lane?
Oh, sorry. City of Surrey's, Ken Lane, public member.
Richard O'Brien, city member.
Vito Chiesa, Stanislaus County member.
Amy Bublak, city member.
Manny Graywall, Stanislaus County member.
Javier Lopez, city member.
Bill Berryhill, public alternate.
Javier Camarena, Assistant Executive Officer.
Sarah Lytle-Penny, Executive Officer.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO Counsel.
Jennifer Vieira, Commission Clerk.
Outstanding. All right, moving on to approval of minutes, minutes of May 28th, 2021. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, with the motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I say against, nay. Passes unanimously. Correspondence.
So we have one item before you that arrived after the agenda. It's an email from Tamara Krim as informational correspondence. And then you may want to also go back there to public comment. We do have some members of the audience with public comment on an item that's not on the agenda tonight.
I went fast.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, good call, good call. Apologies to the audience. All right, so you've done your correspondence then?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go backwards and apologize. Let's get to the, I have 3 cards for now, but I'm sure there are more. Dan Westone? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Jamie, let's start.
I'll
Okay.
go first. Thank you. Good evening, Chairwoman Bublak, members of the Commission. My name is Jamie Agers. I'm a resident of Stanislaus County, and I live at 7730 McHenry Avenue, Modesto. That's on the east side of McHenry, and the reason that's significant is that that lies within the reserved area of the proposed Riverwalk development that the City of Riverbank has brought forward. While it's not on tonight's agenda as a discussion item, you do list LAFCO's late June response letter to the NOP for the project, so some of my neighbors and I, who you will hear from shortly, thought it would be an appropriate opportunity to register our opposition to the project for the record. By the way, I'd like to commend both LAFCO and county staff for the excellent job they did on their comment letter, pointing out some of the many concerns about the Riverwalk proposal. My husband and I also submitted comments. I'd like to briefly share with you some of the core reasons for my opposition. I'm at least a 4th-generation country girl. My great-grandparents farmed on property in the Bay Area, which has long since been overtaken by development, or progress, as some would call it. My grandmother settled on Beckwith Road in Wood Colony, where my mother was raised and where I spent much time as a young girl. When my mom got married, they moved to the city of Modesto. But you see, you can take a girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. At my parents' earliest opportunity, they moved back to the county where I was raised and where my mom still lives, and they weren't at all far from Wood Colony, where she grew up. When I got married in 1980, my husband's home was within the city of Modesto, so that's where I moved. Not long after that, we began looking for property outside the city limits because, you see, you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. In 1984, we were lucky enough to find a piece of property that met our criteria, which included wanting to move as far out of the city as we could without leaving Modesto or Stanislaus County. And so we bought the property where we built a home on the 5th parcel south of the county line, which is the Stanislaus River. We knew when we were buying our property that it was a major thoroughfare and that 30 feet of our frontage property had already been dedicated to the county for road improvements. But we understood the need for future road and traffic improvements. We even agreed to sell the county additional footage recently when they said they needed more for the McHenry expansion. We knew that someday it was inevitable that the road would expand, and that's why we built our house several hundred feet back of McHenry, because we were thinking ahead. Also, when thinking ahead, we never expected Riverbank to want to engulf us as far west as we are from them. I'm almost done. Especially knowing that it was river bottom land and in a floodplain. Our property is roughly 100 feet above where the Riverwalk property is proposed below. When you have the opportunity in upcoming months or years to vote on the proposal, please vote no, as it would be poor public policy to put homes in a floodplain, eliminate a buffer between residential and ag, and allowing growth far outside Riverbank's greatly increased sphere of influence, which was expanded just 5 years ago in 2016. Thank you.
All right, there's two other cards here, and I don't want to pick the wrong one. Who's up next?
My name is Barney Agers, and I live on the west edge of the proposed Riverwalk project. Have owned the property for nearly 40 years, and I'm right on the edge of the entire bluff that goes around the whole project, a proposed project. I want to go on record as opposing this project, and also opposed essentially the same project by Groupie 15 years ago, which came to a nice halt for several reasons. Anyone can look into the background on that and see what happened. My neighbors and I have all been left out of the notification process. Riverbank has not notified any of us of their plans. We learned about this from an article in the Modesto Bee. There was a Zoom meeting that none of us were told about. So we have been in the dark and don't appreciate that. I find it disingenuous that we wouldn't be included in the notification of their plan. We farm our properties. Our neighbors all farm our properties. People on Hogue Road farm. And if this project goes through, we'll all be impacted negatively. What follows a development like this is it spreads. It makes it hard for the remaining farmers to do their work. Please consider these concerns. I could go on for quite some time. Please consider these concerns when it comes time to place a vote on this project. Thank you.
All right, there is a charm. Dan, it's your turn.
Good evening, thank you. My wife and I just moved back to Modesto after about 30 years away. We had some trouble with a vacation rental next to us on our last house, so we really looked around for a place that was secluded and quiet, and we found this ideal place on McHenry Avenue of 3 acres. It's no neighbors nearby, and we just love it. And now all of a sudden we're hearing about this development that could impact us and put us right back to where we were. So we'd just like to have you consider the financial and lifestyle impact that something like this would have. Thank you.
Anyone else who didn't fill out a card wishing to speak in public comment, please?
I'm also live on the bluff that surrounds this river bottom, and it impacts our properties. We have a 31
Your name,
acre.
sir?
What?
Your name, please?
My name's Fred Walton.
Thank you.
I live on Hogue Road, 423 Hogue Road, and I'm very good friends with Bill. And I hope the success for Bill and his partner are good. But, you know, population grows. Do we need to subdivide, or And what kind of subdivision? I think the plan of subdivision, if it's going to happen on that river bottom, needs to go all the way to McHenry. It needs to go from Patterson Road to the river to McHenry, because we're all so involved. You put a little village down below us, it certainly hurts the value of our properties because they're on a bluff. And we never expected anything like this. So it has to be considered that everybody that's near this new subdivision is involved with it. And I'm wondering what they mean by high density, medium density, and low density. Seems like there's awful lot of structures in that river bottom. I would be more for like half acre, 5 acres, 10 acres, like they have on Scatone Road in Crawford, or in between Riverbank and Oakdale, all those small ranches. What designates what kind of subdivision you're going to have? And things like that have to be thought of. Also the impact on a river bottom. There's a possibility of flood. My farmer friends down the river tell me that the river doesn't have to go over the bluff, over the area to flood. It can seep through as the river comes up. So that has to be considered too on how far the houses are to be built from the river. Just little things like that. We have an investment in our property, and not saying that one day we wouldn't want to subdivide that, but I think it's how we subdivide it, how we go about it, what is best for the community. And I hope that you'll take in consideration everybody around the subdivision, if it's going to be done, that they're part of it too, their lands. Thank you.
Anyone else in public comment? If not, okay, we will close the public comment time and move on to declaration of conflicts of interest and disqualifications. Hearing and seeing none. Consent item. We have one item. It is the LAFCO application, normal wage change of organization to Keys Community Service District. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to that? Otherwise, we'll just take the vote. Okay, what's the will of?
Motion to approve consent item A.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against say nay. It passes unanimous. Public hearings. LAFCO application for City of Modesto Fire Service contract with the City of Ceres.
Okay. So tonight we have a proposal from the City of Modesto to provide fire services outside its boundaries to the City of Ceres and also the surrounding service areas. I just realized that I'm in control.
Congratulations.
Okay. This is a fairly new requirement for the Commission to review fire contracts. The Commission reviewed one a few years ago for the City of Modesto to provide service to the City of Oakdale. Then this contract is very similar. The Commission's new requirement to review these fire contracts applies whenever an agency has more than 25% of its employees affected or more than 25% of its service area. In this case, it would affect the entire service area for Ceres, so it's coming before LAFCO. And just to give you an idea, this map represents the affected area of the contract, so it includes the City of Ceres shown in aqua there. It also includes the service areas that Ceres currently provides fire service to, which include the Ceres Fire Protection District there on the southern area and a little bit actually north of the City of Ceres, and also the Industrial Fire Protection District that the City of Modesto and City of Ceres both currently serve under a joint powers agreement. And this is just to give you an idea of all the fire agency boundaries that currently exist in that area, so you can kind of see the surrounding fire districts, but this also just shows that the areas there in red, the Ceres Fire Protection District, City of Ceres, and that area that's kind of in gray, those would all be included in one service area with Modesto providing service following approval of this. So just a few highlights from the contract itself. It has a 5-year term with the potential for a 2-year extension. Current City of Ceres fire employees will be hired by the City of Modesto, and labor groups for both city fire departments have submitted letters in support of the contract. And those are attached to your packet. Ceres would maintain ownership of its fire stations, vehicles, equipment, and also responsibility for capital improvements to those. The contract, like I said, is very similar to the one the Commission approved for City of Oakdale Rural, in the City of Modesto. City of Modesto has kind of used that as an example of success thus far with using the fire contract model. Overall, the City of Ceres expects to benefit from increased staffing, advanced life support services, just the overall economy of scale and cost savings for the 5 years, totaling over $1 million versus having a traditional city fire department. So the Commission determinations for this proposal are that the proposal is consistent with the overall intent of LAFCO's policies, that the Commission has reviewed the fiscal analysis that the city provided in the packet. The Commission has considered any testimony that might be provided tonight, and the affected territory is expected to receive sufficient revenues for services. Both City of Ceres and City of Modesto councils have approved the contract during separate public hearings, and a fiscal analysis has been included with the application. With that, staff is recommending that the approval be, or that the contract be approved as proposed by the City of Modesto, and we've prepared a resolution 2021-12 making the required determinations and finding the proposal exempt from environmental review. And with that, staff is available for questions.
Okay, questions for staff? There you go, you're on.
So, Sarah, this is, I don't know when this law came into effect, but why is it? Because this looks like an agreement, just like contracting for any service from another county.
Yes.
Why does that have to come before LAFCO? Can you explain the 25-25?
So this is a piece of legislation that was not proposed by a LAFCO-related interest. It was...
It was a way to kill something at LAFCO or something,
no,
maybe? Or
actually, I believe it was just to have an additional opportunity, an additional public hearing at a neutral body where potentially firefighter labor groups could come to LAFCO and say that they are not in support of the contract,
okay.
And residents as well.
I figured there was some reason, but both the Ceres, which I watched the Ceres City Council meeting, I watched the Modesto City Council meeting, they've come to an agreement, and I'm perfectly okay with it. I don't see any issue with it.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Questions?
I'm actually in support of consolidating as many of the fire districts as possible, and I believe that the intent of the law is to have LAFCO as a catalyst in consolidating some of these smaller districts, if I read the law correctly, especially some of like the abatement districts, et cetera. So I believe that we should be a catalyst in accelerating consolidations throughout.
And this could be a step that leads to a more formal consolidation, but it allows for flexibility for the agencies at this point.
Yes, I, for one, was a part of City of Ceres, Major H, and we, went out to our community and stated that this is for Ceres firefighters, if you will. I know we're not going to address that tonight. I know it's about the boundaries and that sort of thing, and I fully understand that. I don't know that I'm completely in agreement with this because of the fact that what took place over 3 months, I dealt with for over 5 years on the city council, looking at this, different avenues. But tonight, it's a contract. It's not a JPA. So it's, I think, as we talked about earlier today, Sarah, you try the shirt on and see how it fits for a while. The only issue is, and I would caution City of Ceres and the council members moving forward with this, you're turning over our employees to the City of Modesto, and if this doesn't work out, then you're going to have to figure out hiring all these guys back, because they now become City of Modesto employees. And I don't know that's a bad thing, honestly. I really don't know, because I think we looked at it a long time, and you know, when I was serving on the council at that time, and we just never could come to a solution that was best for the citizens of Ceres that supported Measure H, and did it so knowing that it would go towards the fire and police department to grow it. At one time, we had a plan. I don't know what that plan is today, because we're not privy to that, and it's not a part of our report. But saying so, I will support the boundaries that are set forth. I think it's not a whole lot different, other than that the City of Modesto is going to put some positions in place that we don't have today, a fire chief, fire marshal, and that sort of thing. But, you know, we have mutual aid today, and, you know, I hope that moving forward that we even take a further look into this for fire services. I know that this body, at one time, when I served on LAFCO, looked at fire services, and we were looking at consolidating and so forth on fire service, which I think it's going that way. And if it's City of Modesto that's going to be the big brother in all this, great. But I think it's something that we probably should address in the future, like we had in the past. You know, if all cities want to get involved, is City of Modesto, or is it the county? I don't know. But it seems to be that, you know, City of Oakdale and Ceres now have chosen to move forward, having City of Modesto take our fire services and, you know, our firefighters, if you will. That I have a great pride in the City of Ceres, and serving on Measure H made me proud to go out and you know, campaign on behalf of our firefighters so we could give them more. You know, make firefighters, give them more opportunity within our own department. So anyway, with that said, I don't know where that is in Measure H. I know that there's $1,800,000 that the City of Ceres has now in our budget that's going towards this program. And if I'm wrong in saying that, I hope I'm not, but I've kind of investigated it and looked at it. So, you know, I hope that the City of Ceres gets what I campaigned for. It's important to me, because when I did this, when I went out and rode on a fire engine, when I talked to people, it was about our guys. And, you know, not to take anything away from Modesto, because I think Modesto has a great department, and I know there's a lot of Ceres firefighters that are now working the City of Modesto before this. So with that said, I will support the boundaries.
So if there are no more questions for our staff, let me open it up and see if Ceres or Modesto Fire wants to speak to this at all. It's open to the public. Anybody? Wow, okay. I'm closing public comment. Bring it back. Are there any other comments? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. It was unanimous. All right, thank you. Other business, there is none. Commissioner comments? None. Additional matters at the discretion of the chair? None. And executive officers report.
Since we last met, staff has recorded 3 annexations that the commission approved, including the Northwest Newman annexation, Lodi-Whitmore annexation to the City of Modesto, and then the annexation to County Service Area number 26. We are lining up some items that would tentatively be heard at our September meeting, including the formation of a county service area, municipal service review update for all of the county service areas, as well as a contract with an outside auditor for LAFCO's 3-year audit. With that, we are recommending cancellation of the August meeting. Staff is actually attending some CalAFCO training regarding fire districts in August. So hopefully we'll bring back some more information for you. But our next meeting would be September 22nd.
Okay, and I believe one young lady made it so late to public. Did you need to comment in public comment? If you'd like to. You have to come up to the mic, please. Real hard to hear. We'll open up the public comment one more time. I saw you come in just a second too late.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the Central Valley Concerned Citizens.
Your name, ma'am?
Pardon?
Your name, please?
Instead of giving my name, I was giving the group that we
Okay.
work with.
Sure.
Okay, and that was the Central Valley Concerned Citizens.
Can you pull that mic down because I'm completely deaf? I'm
There we go.
sorry.
That's all right. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
That's better.
Perfect.
Thank you. We wish to convey our opinion on the River Walk plan that has recently been brought to our attention. We have many objections to the River Walk project. This project is in the wrong place. The location for this project is untenable. There is nothing in this plan that justifies the loss of this valuable, fertile river bottom land in this land grab attempt. Once destroyed, this prime agricultural land will never be able to be returned to the superior productive land it was and is. Riverbank City already has approval for development of land within their sphere of influence that consists of poorer soil than our fertile river bottom earth. This is so important, we want to say it again. Riverbank City already has approval to build on land in their existing sphere, and we wish to emphasize that is where they would benefit from focusing their efforts. Building houses and businesses on fertile farmland when less fertile soil is already within Riverbank's sphere of influence is intolerable. We would like an accumulative effect analysis done, including the approved Crossroads West plan. Building homes next to agricultural activities, as evidenced by past practices, leads to new homeowners complaining of the dust, spray, etc., even though they were told that agricultural practices would continue. In response to a multitude of complaints, farmers often resort to spraying late at night when they are more at risk themselves for less savory characters to come upon them, not to mention disrupted sleep cycles and disrupted family life. Leapfrog development is frowned upon, and with good reason. Leapfrog development will put an already existing resident development that exists in the realm of Stanislaus County's sphere of influence at risk for being annexed into Riverbank City. This will complicate water and sewer issues as well as costs for the residents of River Heights and Park Ridge, as well as the residents, businesses, and the agencies of Riverbank City. In general, agricultural land uses less water than residential needs. Sewage systems on the river bottom floodplain can put the river, land, and people at risk. Loss of floodplain land puts downstream people, animals, homes, and other buildings at risk, especially due to the large amount of floodplain, which is almost 1,000 acres, involved in this plan. The volume of water that would be retained in the floodplain when flooding occurs could save many lives and buildings downstream. Water is a vital, finite resource. As homes are built, along with their accompanying front and backyards and need for water, the probability that our wells will go dry increases. Who will pay for the new wells to be built? Who will ensure that water tables remain adequate? Who will monitor the water table, the groundwater recharge, and the safety of aquifers? I didn't know I was on a timer. Sorry. Okay.
Are you almost
have the
wrapped
rest.
up?
Pardon?
And you submitted it to us as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will close the public hearing again, and we do have closed session before we adjourn, so shall we?
Yes, Madam Chair, there's one item on for closed session tonight. It's pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The item is Public Employee Performance Evaluation. The title of that employee is the LAFCO Executive Officer. This would be appropriate time to open it for public comment, although I will say that it's not expected to have any reportable action, but we'll come back out and see what happens. It would be appropriate to open for public comment, if any.
I'll take that as a hey, open public for this.
Thank you.
All right, open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak about our executive? All right, closing public comment. Thank you. And we'll move out to closed session. Thank you.